So good morning. Welcome to the Caring for the Veteran Caregiver virtual conference. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Candace Krestensen, and I am the coordinator for the Caregiver Coalition of Northeast Florida. So this is our second year hosting this conference virtually. And we would obviously love to be seeing everybody face to face, but honestly, we're grateful that we're able to adapt to a more virtual setting. So I'm going to go over a few quick housekeeping items. This session is being recorded and it's going to be posted to our website and our YouTube channel. So for that reason, all cameras and microphones, except for those of our speakers, are going to stay turned off. If you could just remain muted through the duration of the conference. We will be using the chat box for questions, and you can type a question into the chat box at any point. I'll make sure that we address it when we reach the Q&A towards the last part of the session. And in case we run into any technical difficulties, we are going to try to resolve them as quickly as possible. So Zoom has a new feature now that allows us to enable captions during our workshops. So I've enabled the live captioning. You should see those at the bottom of your screen. If you don't, there's the Zoom toolbar at the bottom of your screen, and there should be a button that says more with 3 dots above it. If you click that, it's going to open up a small window that allows you to click show subtitles, or if you see them and you don't want to, you can hit hide subtitles. You can also change the size of the captions by clicking subtitle settings. And there's also a feature you can view the full transcript. It'll open up a separate window to the right of the Zoom screen, and that'll come up with the live transcript as we're talking today. So I would like to share a short message from some of our sponsors. And I actually think I need to share sound.
How's everybody doing?
Hey, you guys.
Hi.
It's time to lean on each other.
All of you guys, so much great support.
And laugh with each other.
Cheers.
Let's do it together with caregiving chats and more. Come find us at aarp.org/near you.
My wife, I call her a drill sergeant. She gave me the inspiration to build myself up. I need to go on dialysis. Florida Blues, they gave my wife good information, what I ate, how she cooked, and everything. In fact, if I go to the store and buy something today, she'll get it and read it and say, you can't have this. And that's why I think I'm where I'm at today.
So we have some fabulous sponsors this year. I want to thank our gold sponsors, Florida Blue, Baptist Agewell Center for Senior Health, Community Hospice and Palliative Care, and Mayo Clinic, and our renewing silver sponsor, AARP. So thank you everyone for the generosity and dedication to caregiving. So I'm going to turn it over now to our chair of the Caregiver Coalition, Earl Evans.
Good morning, everyone. We're thrilled to have you join us for our second virtual Caring for the Veterans Caregiver Conference. Every day, caregivers make countless sacrifices of their time and energy, and often experience physical and emotional strain associated with putting the needs of others above their own. Statistics have shown that those caring for an ill or injured service member have higher rates of mental and physical illness and increased strain on their family relationships. Our motto has always been that you are not alone. And today we hope that you walk away from this conference not only with tools and resources that can help you shoulder the burdens of caregiving, but also with encouragement that you are not alone and that we are a community here to support you. I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Bubba Schlader, an extended care and end-of-life planner. Bubba is well known in Northeast Florida for being a subject matter expert when it comes to understanding the benefits available to veterans and their caregivers. He's here to share what these benefits are, and more importantly, give us some strategies to help navigate them and get the most out of what's available to you. want to thank you for joining us today, Bubba. And here you go.
Well, thank you very much, Earl. I'm happy to be here with y'all today. And hopefully I'm going to share some information on veterans benefits for pretty much all veterans, particularly senior veterans, and of course give you some pointers too on specifics directed toward caregivers. So Candace, I guess we're ready for me to share my screen. Is that okay?
Yes, sir, we are.
All right. Okay. All right. This is me. This is what I do. Primarily, I work with people to plan ahead for the type of care that they will prefer in their elder years. And those plans are funded with long-term care insurance. I'm also a crisis financial planner for working with people that need home care, assisted living, independent living, and nursing home care now, but didn't plan ahead. So this type of planning is leveraged with government benefits and other types of assets, like large assets like a home or some other larger asset. And I am, by the way, legally allowed to talk to you. I'm accredited with the Department of Veterans Affairs, and I'm also a security credential affiliate with the Department of Veterans Affairs. So what we're going to talk about today are benefits for veterans and their spouses for home care, assisted living, independent living, burial benefits, and a good many other senior benefits. Now, my presentation is going to focus on long-term care benefits for veterans, but I'm going to touch on in these other areas. And if you have any interest there, just make a note and get with Candace or me at the end of the presentation, and we'll make sure you get the information you need. We'll also touch on the senior veteran financial abuse. Okay, so I'm going to go through these pretty quickly here. These benefits, I just want to make you aware of them. This is a state of Florida benefit for veterans. A veteran who has a service-connected disability rating can get a $5,000 homestead exemption on their real estate taxes every year, homestead taxes. A veteran age 65 and older that served in a period of wartime can get a discount equal to their rating. So if you have a 50% rated disabled veteran, then he should be getting a 50% discount off his property tax bill every year. 100% would be 100% discount. He shouldn't be paying any homestead taxes. State veterans homes, they're also run by the state of Florida. These are nursing homes. So the requirements are that, of course, being a state of Florida benefit, you have to have 1 year residency in the state. And of course, you have to be certified as needing nursing home care. We have 6 veterans homes in the state of Florida. There's one assisted living facility run by the VA or the state. It's over in Lake City. The closest nursing home to us is down in St. Augustine on State Road 16, near the Outlet Mall. There is a myth that there is no cost to veterans for veterans nursing homes. That's not true. Veterans who are 70% service-connected disabled rating, have that rating or above, do get free care. And those that need nursing home care because of a service-connected condition are also eligible. Other veterans, the cost depends on their financial situation, and there's usually always a waiting list. These are very highly rated nursing home facilities, so there's a lot of people want to get in. Now, let's spend a little bit of time on the healthcare system. The VA healthcare system is for veterans that are service connected and that are, or they can apply if they have a financial need. It's the VA healthcare system is the largest healthcare system in the country. Now, as far as caregivers go, caregivers are available through the healthcare system with a prescription from a doctor or a social worker, VA social worker. So it's rare, but there is help for caregivers available through the healthcare system. Now and again, I want to emphasize it's usually not much. They can usually provide a few hours per week. The HISA grant program is a little known program that provides help if you're enrolled in the VA healthcare system. It provides some stipends if you want to do, like you see here, a wheelchair ramp, or improvements to the home to make it handicap accessible and things like that. All right, click. Burial benefits are really there's a myth that burial benefits cover all the expenses of the funeral. The real benefit to burial benefits are if you're buried in a national cemetery, and we have one in the area, in Jacksonville. There's one in St. Augustine, but there's no new interments down there. Okay, click and click on through, and here you see what's available in a private cemetery compared to what's available in if you're buried in a national cemetery. So you can see in a private cemetery, the headstone, inscription on the headstone, and burial flag and a certificate. Well, in the national cemetery, you get all those things plus the burial plot, the interment, which is the opening and closing of the grave. Click. Grave liner and perpetual care. And over there on the far right, you see, I'm sure everybody's familiar with the veterans marble headstone. So you can see that there's a big difference here in the type of benefits available. Not too much if you're in a private cemetery, but you can also see that it doesn't include the cost of the entire funeral. Okay, click. Click. The medallion benefit is a benefit. This is a medallion that can be permanently affixed to a private headstone that has to be ordered separately. And you can see they come in 3 or 4 different sizes there. Okay, click. Now, long-term care benefits for veterans. Click. First of all, what is long-term care? It's non-professional custodial care provided to an individual who has a chronic need for help with the 6 things everyone does when they get up in the morning. So those 6 things are transferring, ambulating, toileting, bathing, dressing, and eating. Now, these 6 events here are known as the activities of daily living. And these activities of daily living are the criteria by which all care needs are evaluated and by which all benefits are awarded. Now, there's also one other, and click, and that is supervision due to cognitive impairment. So these are very important terms to know when you're looking at any type of benefits for long-term care, whether it be insurance, private insurance, or government benefits. All right, click. Now, just quickly, we're going to go over why it's very important to plan for the cost of long-term care. And these numbers are based on the on an annual study that's done by Genworth Financial every year. They've been doing it for 20 years. These are the 2020 cost of care for various types of providers. So you see skilled nursing care for a semi-private room 1 year in Northeast Florida, the average cost was over $103,000. A private room was even more than that, as you can see. Click. And this just shows with 3% inflation in 20 years, that's about the average rate of inflation. So it'll be significantly higher than that if you're looking down the road. Click. Assisted living. The average cost in Northeast Florida of a 1-bedroom apartment is about $50,000 a year. Click. And then you can see what it's going to look like in 20 years. Click. Then we take a look at home care. You can see there, a lot of people are surprised to see that home care is about, on a yearly basis, is about as expensive on average as assisted living. Click. And there's what it's going to look like, or an estimate of what it's going to look like in 20 years. Click. Now, there's another cost of caregiving that many of you are familiar with, I'm sure, and that is, in my opinion, probably the most costly of all of them, and that's the stress on the caregiver spouse. There's no way to assign an actual cost to it, so it's an intangible cost. But the stress in studies and have found that it takes a tremendous toll on the caregiver spouse or the caregiver child. And thank God for support groups like the Caregiver Coalition that come by the side of people and offer services there, because this is the most common caregiving situation in the country, is care at home provided by a family member. Click. Now, planning strategies for long-term care are, of course, self-pay, long-term care insurance, asset-based long-term care, the Florida Long-Term Care Partnership Program, veterans benefits, age, blind, and disabled Medicaid, and then others, other sources such as children or the family has to pitch in to provide the cost of the care. All right, click. Click. All right, now we're going to focus in here on the Department of Veterans Affairs. Click. There's 2 types of programs, disability programs provided by the VA. The first one is service connected. Those are known as disability compensation. The second is non-service connected. Now, these are little known benefits that provide long-term care benefits. These are known as disability pension or click aid and attendance pension. This benefit is commonly referred to as the aid and attendance benefit. That's not the correct name for the benefit, but you'll hear this benefit referred to as aid and attendance. Now, this is, like I said, a little known benefit, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. So we're going to focus the rest of our time there on that. But first, we're going to touch on service connected. Now, of course, service connected means that there's an ongoing disability that is the result of an injury or illness occurred while the veteran was in military service. So there's a few things I want to point out there under service connected before we dive into the aid and attendance pension benefit. Now, the note down at the bottom, federal law prohibits receipt of both benefits. So that's very important. If a veteran is service connected, he or she can apply for the aid and attendance pension benefit, but then you want to compare the two to see which one is going to be better, and particularly in the long term. Service connected benefits, you can apply for an increase in the benefits, so you can't forget that. But you cannot receive both. There's a federal law against concurrent receipt of benefits. Click. Okay, now disability compensation, there's a few heads up here for people that are receiving it. Click. 100% rated veterans that need care for those activities of daily living can get an additional allowance. It's called an aid and attendance allowance. Aid and attendance means personal care from other people, of $759 a month. Now that's a pretty good sizing, additional benefit that few veterans, 100% rated veterans, are aware of. And it applies to survivor benefits as well. You see DIC, that's dependency and indemnity compensation. So these are the survivors of veterans that were died in military service or died later as a result thereof. They get a benefit called, short DIC. They can also get an additional stipend for aid and attendance if they need personal care. All right. Now, this is important too. DIC can be reinstated if a subsequent marriage is terminated. So these survivor benefits, and here's a scenario I run into quite a bit. You've got a lady, and she's in her usually latter 80s, and her first husband was killed in World War II or Korea, and she was a young lady back then, and she probably remarried. Well, now she's in her latter 80s, and her husband is probably predeceased her, because women live 5 to 6 years longer than men do. Virtually none of these ladies have any idea that they can go back, since their second marriage terminated, and collect these DIC benefits again. They then become can become technically the survivor of the first husband again, and pick these benefits back up. So that's a good thing to know. And like I said, very few of these widows know that. And DIC is a better benefit than the survivor pension benefit that we're going to talk about in a minute. All right, click. I do a whole nother seminar on Agent Orange, but this is for Vietnam veterans. I just encourage all Vietnam veterans who served in the country of Vietnam to learn about the Agent Orange presumptive illnesses, whether you know have any issues or not. These illnesses are presumptive illnesses, mean that the burden of proof is lifted if you contact these certain illnesses. You don't have to prove that it was because of exposure to Agent Orange. And anybody that served in the country or on the territorial waters of Vietnam are considered to have been exposed to Agent Orange. So just a heads up, make sure all your Vietnam veteran friends know what those presumptive illnesses are, because some of them are pretty common. Lung cancer, Parkinson's, and bladder cancer, prostate cancer, and things like that. All right, click. Candace, okay, are you? It won't go forward. Candace or Kyle, can you hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you. Oh, there she is.
We got
Yeah,
frozen.
I moved it forward. It didn't move on your end?
No. But I see it now moving forward.
You see it now?
Yeah, we're seeing the non-service connected slide, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Now, one additional point that I want to make under the service connected, there's a caregiver program, and it's fairly new, to where the caregivers of veterans who served in pre or post 9/11, so that's September 11th, 2001, and who are not only those, but going back to Vietnam, served in Vietnam or before, they're 70% rated. They need assistance with their activities of daily living. There's a caregiver program that will provide a much needed stipend for usually the spouses or a family member or a friend that's helping to care for that veteran. It's a very good program. They started out with post 9/11 injured veterans, and now it's been extended recently to Vietnam veterans and before. So that would include Korea and World War II. So be aware of that. And there's of course there's a form the veteran and the caregiver have to apply together. So we can give you information on that if you think that would apply to you. Now we're going to take a close look at the little known benefit that's called Aid and Attendance Pension, or formerly the Non-Service Connected Disability Pension, plus the Aid and Attendance Allowance benefit. It's known as, in financial planning circles, as the best kept secret in long-term care. All right, click. Now, if you've got the handout or that Candace sent out to some of you, the following information is going to be included on there, so you don't have to take notes about the rates and the pay and all that. Okay, now moving on, we're in the Aid and Attendance Pension benefit and the rates. Now, if you got the PDF document that Candace sent out, you've got this information right here, a hard copy of it. If you don't worry about writing all this down. We can get that to you if you'll just let her know, or me. And of course, but But these are the rates, and you can see why this is such a great benefit. Married veteran rates, it'll pay over $27,000 a year. The benefit is paid monthly, so that's about $2,300 a month for a married veteran. Are the current rates. You can see the rates there, surviving spouse rates, disabled spouse. That's a little known benefit. That would be where the veteran's healthy, but the spouse of the veteran needs aid and attendance or personal care, then there's a benefit there also. So, and again, these benefits are paid monthly. And this is a reimbursement program, so you must be receiving the care before you can apply. Now, eligibility. The veteran must be age 65, served at least 1 day during a period of wartime, and 90 days continuous active duty with an honorable discharge. So there is an exception to age 65, and that's if the veteran has a Social Security disability rating of total and permanent disability, then the age requirement is waived. Key terms here, active duty. This benefit is unfortunately not for reservists or guardsmen unless they were called to active duty. So evidence of active duty, of course, is a form, DD Form 214. And any veteran that served on active duty should have that form, and down in the bottom left-hand corner, DD 214. There it is. Now, a couple of things to point out on these dates. Those of you who are historians know that World War II did not end on December 31st, 1946. Congress extended the dates out to about 1.5 years to cover all the veterans that remained overseas after World War II. Also, merchant mariners were brought in as veterans under the World War II period. We've got a lot of retired merchant mariners in Northeast Florida, and of course, if they've passed on, their surviving spouses would qualify for the survivor benefit. The Gulf War, you can see, continues on. The beginning date of the Gulf War was in 1990, so we're like 30 some odd years into the Gulf War. These, of course, are younger veterans. Now, any business you conduct with the VA requires proof, and again, proof of service is the Form DD 214. Now, survivors, we didn't forget about you. The requirements for survivors: married to the veteran at the time of death, married to the veteran for 1 year or more, has not remarried. And then these next requirements apply to the veteran we just discussed: 90 days active duty, 1 day in a wartime period, honorable discharge. There's no age requirement for the survivor. The same aid and attendance requirements apply, and we're going to get into that in a minute. And then instead of one official document, a survivor needs 3 official documents. And that's, of course, the DD 214, the separation papers, the death certificate. The death certificate must show cause of death, and of course, the marriage certificate. Now, the and aid and attendance medical rating is necessary to qualify for this benefit. So a medical examination that indicates that the veteran or survivor needs assistance with 2 or more of these activities of daily living, or substantial supervision due to cognitive impairment or legal blindness, or resident in a nursing home. These all will meet the requirements for aid and attendance. To get an aid and attendance medical rating is what you're after here. So 2 or more of the activities of daily living we discussed a minute ago. Now, just a few things to point out here. The VA definition is not as stringent as some think it might be. So I get a lot of people qualified, and it's usually under bathing and dressing because they're a fall risk and they need someone to stand by or be available while they're bathing or dressing to make sure they don't fall, for their safety. And, you know, as we get older, we all become fall risk. So it's not that difficult because it can include standby. And you know, that would, so most people, like if they're on the borderline of getting a rating, it's usually bathing and dressing that'll get them in there. Now let's look at some of the others. Eating, unfortunately, eating does not mean meal preparation like you get at home or in assisted living. That means that you need to have food, you know, assistance with getting food to the mouth, or dementia patients need reminders to eat. Transferring is getting out of bed and into a chair. Ambulating is just getting from point A to point B. Needing assistance to get from point A to point B. And of course, toileting would include incontinence and things such as clothing adjustments and that sort of thing. So the aid and attendance medical rating is critical in this process. Now, if you meet the eligibility requirements that we just discussed, then you're eligible, but you're not yet qualified. So what does that mean? Okay, to be qualified for this benefit, it's a needs-based benefit. There's 2 financial requirements. One is income. Income for VA purposes must be less than the maximum benefit. Now, we know what the maximum benefit is. We just took a look at them, but we're getting ready to define income for VA purposes. Then we look at assets. Countable assets must be below the VA threshold of $129,000. So we're going to talk about countable assets. Now, income for VA purposes, in order to get a benefit, must be less than the maximum benefit. Now, I'm getting ready to let you in on the best kept secret about this benefit. And most people down at the VA don't know this unless they work at the pension office in Philadelphia. And that's the definition of income according to the VA when applying for this benefit. So what you do is you take your income, and you have to include both your family income, husband and wife, if you're married. So that's monthly income. So you're talking about Social Security, pension, things like that, rental income. But then to meet the VA definition, you can deduct the cost of care. And once you deduct the cost of care, then you've arrived at income for VA purposes. Now, I can tell you right now that somebody that's paying for home care or assisted living or nursing home care, income for VA purposes is going to be 0 or less. So probably over 90% of the people that I work with are going to qualify for this benefit if they're middle income Americans, because the cost of care is for long-term care is tremendous, and it's normally more than a person's fixed retirement income. So a real quick way to figure the formula, if income for VA purposes is 0 or below, then the claimant is eligible for the maximum benefit. So if you take income less the cost of home care or assisted living, let's say, and you come up with 0 or below, then you're eligible for the maximum benefit. And like I said, hopefully you've got your PDF with those benefits on there. So for example, maximum benefit would be $2,300. So for most middle income folks on fixed retirement income, they're going to qualify for this benefit 100% based on income. Now, something to mention here, and some of you that are family caregivers might be saying, well, my husband or my dad is not paying me anything. He can't afford to pay for a caregiver. That's and so forth. Then this is a very popular strategy to get around acquiring expenses, because you have to have expenses, unfortunately, to get the benefit. So how do you get expenses if you're providing the care for free? Very popular strategy. I call it an adult child caregiver payroll arrangement. Now, it's home care by a third-party informal caregiver, and informal caregiver is somebody that's not a professional, a CNA, or works for an agency. Unfortunately, this does not include a spouse. If you pay a spouse, then you've really got offsetting income and expenses, so that won't work. But it works very nicely with a child. Typically, statistically, 75% of the time, that child is a daughter. So the requirements for this arrangement is you have to have a formal, and I say Medicaid compliant, because you really need to look ahead in case you need nursing home care. That would be where Medicaid comes in. A formal agreement. A caregiver fee must be computed to pay the caregiver, and it needs to be enough to get the veteran the maximum benefit. You need a monthly invoice prepared. Money must change hands. So in other words, you've got to prove that money is changing hands. So this can't be a wink and a nod relationship here. You've got to actually, now I jumped ahead too quick. So you might be thinking, and under that arrangement, well, if let's say dad can't afford to pay for a home care agency to come in, how can he afford to pay me, the caregiver? Well, typically in those situations, let's say the daughter is gonna take the money that dad pays her and just turn around and use it to pay his bills with. So the net cost to dad is zero. But this allows, since the benefit takes about 3 months once you file to get it processed, 3 or 4 months, this is a good way to go ahead and be able to apply for the benefit. And then when the benefit comes in, perhaps then you can afford to pay for maybe a home care agency to come in and help out. Or if you're waiting, for assisted living, if you don't have enough money for assisted living and you're looking at that as an option, it's a good way to go ahead and acquire those additional funds that can help someone move into assisted or independent living. All right, now assets. All right, remember the asset threshold, the amount of assets the VA will protect is $129,000 of countable assets. So countable assets are the veteran and the spouse, and it's your typical liquid assets. So there you see a list of them. Couple of things I want to point out here. You see IRAs and 401ks. If you're familiar with Medicaid, Medicaid does not count IRAs and 401ks as an asset. Trust. So these are living, your typical estate planning trust. The assets that are owned by the trust are countable assets. We need to count, even though the home is exempt, if the home is going to be sold, which is usually the case if they're moving out, then the home will need to be considered there. And then VA has a look back period on gifts. So if you transferred assets, let's say to a child or to a trust, then they're going to go back 3 years and pick the value of those assets up as well. And that's 3 years from the date of the claim. These are your countable assets. Then you have exempt assets. These are assets that don't have to be counted. The home does not have to be counted at the time of application. Cars, unlike Medicaid, VA doesn't care how many cars you got, personal property, cash value life insurance, and a funeral trust. A funeral trust, it can be prepaid funeral arrangements, which is a good estate planning idea anyway, is to have funerals prepaid. And those are not picked up as assets either. Now, quickly on the home, if you're moving out of the home into assisted living, most people are going to have to sell their home. Most people can't afford to keep up 2 places of residence. A home is a very expensive asset to maintain. Even if you paid off your mortgage, you still got maintenance fees, you got property taxes, you got homeowners insurance, that sort of thing. So if the home is going to be sold and you're moving out of it, then the home must be considered before application to make sure you don't get in trouble down the road, because here's a big trap that happens quite a bit. A person, a veteran or a survivor applies, is awarded the benefit, and things are going well. And then they put the home up for sale. The home sells. Well, what just happened? You just changed an exempt asset into a countable asset. So what you did was you converted a home into cash. And that could very well, and usually does, put you over the asset limit, and you lose the benefit right there. So it's very important, if the home is going to be sold, to address that up front. What if the claimant has too many assets? The VA looks at the assets at the time of the application. $130,000, and of course, is protected amount. The amount over 130 on the application will invoke a penalty period of up to 60 months. So obviously, you don't want to send in an application unless you can show countable assets of $130,000 or below. So you don't want to get tied up in a 5-year penalty period. However, even those with a higher net worth can become eligible with allowable strategic planning. So you must do allowable strategic proactive planning before you apply for the benefit. Now, what does that mean? I like to show that I'm an old CPA, so I like to use this comparison. Wealthy people use a CPA's knowledge of taxation and planning of the federal tax regulations to get their tax bill as low as legally possible. Well, middle income people can use an elder planner with knowledge of federal regulations of the VA and Medicaid to get their healthcare tab as low as legally possible. So it's allowable and it's legal planning in order, in the case of middle income folks, to get their healthcare bill as low as legally possible. A quick example here of finances. So you can see you've got a veteran and spouse here, and their total assets are in checking and savings accounts, $250,000. These are their expenses. They're running bottom line, they're running an annual deficit of $37,000. Well, if you look over there on the income and expense side, you see that their monthly income is $2,800. Their allowable expenses excuse me, from assisted living, and their Medicare premium are $4,700. So if you take the income and you reduce it by the allowable expenses, you're in a negative situation. In other words, expenses are much more than income. So based on the formula we just talked about, they're eligible for the maximum benefit in their case, which would be $2,300 a month. However, they're going to get denied if they don't do something with those assets before they apply. So their assets are more than $1,000, as you see. So that's where some planning can come in. And instead of waiting for what we call a spin down to get to the $130,000 threshold, you can do some proactive planning and go ahead and get this benefit and use it as an excellent asset preservation tool. Because, you know, just because you need personal care doesn't mean you're not going to live for many more years. So asset preservation is very important, of course, in elder planning. For some reason, oh, there we go. Kyle, can you see my screen still?
Yes, it went back to the example Mary veteran screen.
Oh, good. Okay. I don't know what I did. Anyway. All right. Now, so now let's talk about applying for the benefit. 73% of claims are denied for various reasons. You know, if you go to the VA website to download your forms, and there's a lot more than one form, as you can imagine, and you fill out the wrong form, or you fill out the application's used to apply for 3 different benefits, and you fill out the wrong section, you apply for the wrong benefit, you're going to get denied for benefit for a benefit that's not even the one you wanted to apply for. There's all kind of complications involved here. As you can imagine, when you're talking about this much money, you're talking about all kind of support documents and evidence that has to be included. And a lot of people just get involved in this, and they go back and forth with the VA for a couple of years, and they get frustrated and they throw in the towel. Well, you need to get help. Unfortunately, the VA has made it virtually impossible for a layperson to successfully apply for the aid and attendance pension benefit. 2 years ago, under the guise that they said to make it easier for the veteran, they added an 11-page net worth statement to the application. Now, that didn't help anybody but them. And I can tell you right now that even a CPA that has no knowledge of VA regulations can properly fill out that statement. Bottom line, get help, but make sure you know who you're getting your help from. Just like any other area that involves seniors and their finances, there's a lot of people out there with scams and so forth, so beware. Pension poachers, this benefit is the pension program. So several years ago, the Congressional Committee on Veterans Affairs called these people pension poachers, and that name kind of stuck. But make sure whoever you're using or talking to is accredited with the VA Office of General Counsel. What did you say the name of that veteran service organization is? Well, there's only 4, to my knowledge, accredited VA organizations that offer assistance with this with benefits, with this pension benefit. They are the American Legion, the VFW, Veterans of Foreign Wars, DAV, Disabled American Veterans, BVA, Vietnam Veterans of America. The General Accountability Office, which is the investigative wing of the U.S. Congress, did a study a few years ago and identified over 200 annuity marketers nationwide that have formed nonprofits with veteran-friendly names. So most all of us know those veteran service organizations I just talked about. If it's not one of them that you're dealing with, then you know, turn around and run. So there's a couple that operate out of Northeast Florida. The VA, in an effort to combat this, they've got a website, and I think that this website is on your handout. But you can go there and you can look up the names of individuals that are VA accredited, and you can look up the service organizations also that are VA accredited. So be careful. Now, these are a few these are more some tips on financial planning, but so it says don't go blindly applying for veterans benefits. Make sure you know down the road things might change and it could have an effect on these benefits. The first thing is, you know, and this comes under, you know, make sure you get qualified help. A lot of people have to make a financial commitment for care months before they know they're going to actually get a favorable decision to receive the benefit. So, so make sure you're working with somebody that can give you some kind of reasonable assurance before you go signing the bottom line on a contract that in order to fulfill, you're going to have this benefit. When the veteran dies, the benefit stops. So what does the spouse do? Well, if the spouse does not need aid and attendance or personal care and is paying for it, then there's really nothing that the spouse can do as far as getting this benefit. Now, if the spouse is in a condition to where he or she needs personal care, then you apply for the survivor benefit. Advanced planning is always advantageous, even for these benefits. For example, if you're in independent living and you can't qualify now, and you think you got a good chance of moving over into assisted living or moving home and receiving care, you can be taking some of these strategies to get qualified, particularly since the VA has invoked the 3-year look-back period. So advanced planning can be advantageous. What will happen if the veteran or spouse needs skilled nursing care? Well, the intersection of VA benefits and nursing home Medicaid benefits is very complicated. Make sure that you use an elder law attorney or a certified Medicaid planner to make sure you're looking at both benefits, VA and Medicaid, when you're applying for the VA benefit. You don't want to get yourself caught in a situation where you take measures to receive the VA benefit, but down the road, you cross yourself up from getting Medicaid if, God forbid, you needed nursing home care. And that's because Medicaid is the best benefit on planet Earth. If you've got low income, it'll pay the entire nursing home bill, less your income. And don't put the cart before the horse. End of life planning and estate planning are different. Estate planning is what you want done with your stuff after you die. Well, end of life planning, as we've just seen, is critical because your last years of life can be the most expensive of your life. if you need long-term care. So end-of-life planning means taking a look at long-term care insurance, financial safety, and advance directives. These are legal documents. It's just good estate planning to have your planning to have your advance directives in place. You're particularly a durable power of attorney, no matter what age you are. And you never know what's going to happen. So bottom line there quickly is just to make sure you're going to have an estate left to plan for when it's all said and done. Now, what are your next steps if you want to apply for the pension benefit? First, determine eligibility. If you've got my flyer, you can do that quickly. Get help. If you don't have any issues with assets being too much, your county VSO office, every county in Florida has a veteran service office, or go to one of your official service organizations, and you see the American Legion logo there. That's one of them. Or go to an accredited, VA accredited advisor. So usually these are financial planners and elder law attorneys. If you do have assets, then you need to look for a fee-based accredited financial planner or accredited elder law attorney. And I say fee-based. Senior advocacy groups recommend that elders and seniors use fee-based planners because they don't need to sell you anything in order to get paid. And you particularly don't want to get a hold of one of these organizations that's going to try to push annuities and sometimes life insurance and sometimes unnecessary legal documents on you in order to get huge commissions unnecessarily that you don't need in order to qualify for this benefit. Get help. Bottom line, get qualified. So you need to acquire the services because you got to have the cost of care. Implement financial planning if that's applicable, if you're over in assets or income. Then complete and gather your documents, medical examinations, affidavits, and things like that, financial documents and application paperwork and so forth. And then you file your paperwork, your package with the VA pension office. So your package obviously consists of a lot more than an application form. So if you want to get this benefit turned around quickly and get a decision, you're going to want to file what's called a fully developed claim. And that's the assets with all the evidence and supporting documents mailed at one time. And we pretty much make a statement to the VA, we have got everything in this package we're sending you that you will need to make a decision right now. You don't have to look anywhere else. We want you to make a decision only based on what we're sending you. And if you make that statement, on a decision, and you might think that's a long time, that's warp speed for the VA. The VA, an average claim runs anywhere from a year to 15 months on average, sometimes longer than that. So that sums it up. This slide here, I refer to these elder years as elder world. And if you need long-term care, it really is a different world because most people have no idea what to expect and they're just shell-shocked by the cost of care. So reach out. There are multitudes of professionals out there to help. So reach out to them. Most of you are already, affiliated with Elder Source, for example, and they can steer you in the right direction. The The three biggest myths of long-term care is, number one, I'll never need it. 70%, according to the Center for Medicaid, Medicare and Medicaid Services, 70% will need long-term care during their retirement years. The next biggest myth is that Medicare pays for long-term care. Medicaid does not pay for long-term care. I'm sorry, Medicare, getting my benefits mixed up here. Medicare